Welcome to BCB Live. You have Drive Safe Dave, the producer back there. And then right here you have Sir Rick coming to you. Drive Safe Dave, 2/22 of 22 is the time. It's also Groundhog Day.
It is Groundhog Day.
And we're short a Groundhog. It's Milltown Mel passed away. And you know what? It was a shock. It shut the entire festivities down. But today, who's the real big groundhog?
Punxsutawney Phil.
Punxsutawney Phil. We do get to see. Does he see his shadow or not?
We don't sure. Well, no. I think the festivities are around 9 or 10 o'clock. We'll find out. But it's going to be cold up there. I got a feeling. Are you going to make a call?
You know what? I'm saying he will not.
6 more weeks of winter.
No
I'm making
shadow
a call.
today. He won't see it. It's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you that. But here's my thing, and I don't know if anybody. You know what the average lifespan of a groundhog is?
I'm going to go. It's kind of a rodent. I'm going to go 25 years.
3 years.
Oh.
3 years. So this guy that we're seeing, that we're waiting on, it's not the same one that we saw 3 or 4 years ago. It's a different one.
Whoa.
These suckers are going around. And what makes him qualified to even be the guy that predicts the weather? You know, it's a fake. It's not even Punxsutawney Phil. It's the 18th or the 25th.
What? Wait a minute. That's like the same credentials that Buckle Up Bob has to predict the weather.
No, you know what? My point exactly, right? And speaking of Buckle Up Bob, hey, listen, we have a lot of weather coming in, and it's critical that we focus on what's going to happen. We start looking at, Dave, is it going to ice up? Is it going to get bad? Because what we don't want to do is drive into that inclement weather, right?
Yeah, we don't want to see it. And you know what? We're just going to give out the information, give it as it is, let you know what's going on around the country so you can react accordingly. So,
but we're not. But we want you to make it, and not just you, the driver out there, you, the company. We want you to make decisions based on safety. We don't need to send these drivers into areas that they're just going to get stuck, that they may have another accident. We don't want another Fort Worth, right? And that's what we're talking about. We're getting the news out. Listen, the shippers understand. The receivers get it. It's been on stations like FreightWaves, the weather station, Fox. Everyone is talking about the weather. And so don't think that load is that hot.
It's not.
It's not.
And you know what? I guarantee you, if that weather hits that shipping area, those guys aren't going to work.
Yeah, let me tell you something.
They're not going to work either.
You know what? If anything COVID has taught us is the shelves are already empty. They probably don't have it in stock, so it's not even a big shock anymore. Listen, I don't want you to push it. I want you to make sure that you're thinking about the safety of our drivers, the safety of our industry. Making sure that we know that just because they get there, it doesn't mean anybody else will be there to unload it.
Right.
So don't take the chance. Make safe decisions today. We have Buckle Up Bob coming up next on BCB Live with just the status, Dave, on this inclement weather, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to him right away, right after this break.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. I am Buckle Up Bob, and I hope you drivers out there that you were able to shut down in a safe area and just err on that side of safety, right? Always be on the safety side first. That's the first thing that has to be in all of our decisions because, quite frankly, the freezing rain didn't get quite far south as early as they thought. It's still coming. Don't get me wrong. But you can see Missouri is really getting hammered. Denver, Kansas, all the cameras on the roadways look really treacherous. Right now, the system is in St. Louis. They are starting to ice up. So again, that's probably why, because this is still showing midnight. So there you go. It is pushing right through there. It's not quite in Oklahoma City yet, but it is coming. And again, you can see Albuquerque was trying to look at some routes that way through the cameras, right? It's just one of those weird design or weather patterns that it just kind of screws up parts of every state that you got to pass through. So the main thing is to look to here is the temperatures. They are going to fall, right? You can see in the next hour, so Oklahoma City will be under freezing, supposed to be, right? Dallas currently 53, but it's going to drop as the day goes. You can see at 3 p.m. it's 45. So this is all supposed to move in later this evening into the Texas area. But you can see Amarillo, Oklahoma City, right? Stretching on to Indiana. I looked at Indiana. Let's see here. Let me go back to the precipitation type. It is just now north of Indianapolis and east or west, of it. So it is running through Illinois. Let's see, give you kind of a better direction because this is pretty accurate. There you go. You can start to see some snowfalls. And as we zoom in, there's Indianapolis. So this is exactly, believe it or not, according to the Weather Channel map, this is really where it is pretty much right now as well. So again, you can see there's not anything happening in Oklahoma City currently, but probably in the next 2 to 3 hours, possibly we may see some of that freezing rain ahead of the snowfall, right? So again, folks, you got to err on the side. You heard Sir Rick say it, last year in Dallas, 97 vehicles, I think 8 people ended up dying. So again, you got to stay out of that. And it looked like the roads were wet. The thing that tricks you, right? You go from wet and then you've got maybe a half a mile, quarter mile where it might be ice. And so you just don't need to be driving in those conditions where you are guessing, right? It is never safe if you have to guess how to drive, right? And that's the thing. So you just got to realize that, hey, it is in the area. Shut her down until you are 100% sure it is safe to do so. The plows are out. Looked at a few of those cameras as well. And it does look like some of the roads are icy, especially the overpasses. What I will tell you is if the roads look wet, I can promise you the overpasses are iced up and it looks wet. So you've got to be really careful moving at all. And if you got to be in the Oklahoma City area and then moving south if you're going to go anywhere. Because if you go north, you're going to go right through it, right? You can go east a little bit, but all this is moving there. And I'll show you a little bit the timeline today, 6 p.m. You can see Indianapolis, right? Still hitting that Missouri area, Oklahoma City, starting to move into the Dallas area. Then you got Ohio. But Ohio, you're going to be really affected tomorrow. There you go. You can see the Columbus, and that freezing rain moves into Arkansas, the Little Rock area. Dallas, all the way down to the Mexico border, if you will, and then all the snow that comes in behind it in Amarillo, New Mexico, right? Oklahoma City. So Missouri, you're getting hit hard now, and then you're just going to get snow for the next 24 hours as well. And then it starts to move into the Erie, Pennsylvania, and western New York tomorrow morning. So, folks, hey, you've got to just protect life, right? This ice is, we can drive in the snow. Trust me. The snow is not the problem. But when you've got ice underneath that snow, and then you get fooled into a false sense of security, right? Because, it's just snow, but there's a layer of ice underneath that snow potential. So you've got to, at the very least, if you're moving, you have to be down in that 45 to, under 50 miles an hour in areas that you think is safe, right? Make good decisions. Get all the information, right? Don't just listen to what we say. Take what we say and then go investigate some more. Get the other app. There's so many apps, right? I use all kinds, from the national government to the Weather Channel to windy.com here, as you can see, and just kind of combine to see if they all say kind of the same thing, then you can pretty much sure that, hey, this is ice, right? Because it's on every one of those websites. So get as much information as you can. Hey, before I leave, I just also want to caution you that if you're out in this, don't forget to protect yourself by 3 points of contact, right? The steps on the truck, the ground underneath you could be icy. You must exit and enter the truck slowly, slow down a little bit more. Make sure you've got 3 solid points of contact, especially your feet, so that you don't injure yourself during this as well. You know, driving is just one part of it, but you still got to get in and out of the tractor, walking around the tractor. Be careful and mindful of your surrounding the ground and what you're walking on, right? 3 points of contact. Hey, we're going to take a little bit of a break and be right back.
All right, guys. Today we have a pre-recorded interview we did with Jordan Kidd at the with Life by the Mile podcast. You guys can find them on YouTube. Dover, Jordan, and Butch, they all go over trucking and telling the stories and just explaining a little bit more about their podcast. So, I guys, hope you enjoy.
Hi, everybody. This is Drive Safe Day with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We have an exciting interview today with some guys that do a little bit more intense, in-depth talk to drivers themselves with Life by the Mile. Hey, guys, I want to introduce y'all in here to the studio, but before I do that, I kind of want to hear who you are and what it is and what kind of give me a little bit about each of you right now for everybody out there.
Oh, hey, Jordan.
So I'm the producer of Life by the Mile. It's a new podcast that we launched last year, and we're out here telling driver stories and touch on a few other parts of the industry, but real focus on driver stories, interviewing drivers, hearing straight from them what's going on out there on the road, and it's been a real interesting journey. Butch is our host.
I'm Butch Maltby. I may be the only gainfully employed person named Butch that you know. I'm the host of Life by the Mile delivered by FreightWorks. Our whole desire, very similar to yours, is to tell the colorful, sometimes and often chaotic stories of drivers, men, women, solos, and teams across the country with the hopes that people really come to understand it's a remarkable profession.
Yeah, and you say that. What got you into doing that, this niche, this driver niche, right? I mean, there's so many niches you could get into. Boy, you surely drilled into one when you want to hear the story of drivers. What got you there?
Jordan, why don't you mention what sort of launched this whole thing?
So we're a trucking company that's grown from one truck to about 125 trucks today over the past 10 years. And so I've had an opportunity to work in all parts of the trucking industry on the carrier side. And just the driver stories are unbelievable. When you think back over 10 years of what you've heard and the stories, it's pretty incredible. And often they're not really drivers aren't celebrated. They're not appreciated. People don't understand what they go through. And so as a carrier, we said, instead of traditional marketing things, like putting ourselves out there, we thought, why don't we put out the driver stories? They're really something worth listening to. And drivers would really appreciate that. And so it's brought a level of dignity to the driver perspective that isn't often seen.
And I think what I would add to that, too, is that, I came into this with no background in trucking logistics. So every episode of Life by the Mile delivered by FreightWorks is part of my education. And you just learn unbelievable things. I mean, where else but a platform like this can you hear a driver say, when you ask them the question, well, do you have any pets? And they say, yeah, we have 6 ferrets that are there in the cab with us. I mean, where else can you hear? And you get along? And what do they do? And where do they go? And when you stop for the night and you bring them into wherever you're going, what do the people think? Or, you hear about different hobbies and different things that drivers do. I have found it absolutely delightful just to be able to interview these folks and to really reinforce, hey, you know what? This is an industry that's critical to the American economy. These are people that have real stories. There was a noted rhetorical critic who one time said, in ways that were a little more complicated than needed, you can persuade people only insofar as they can identify with you. So we want to create a salad bar of stories where people that are in the industry and outside of it, people that are considering coming into the industry say, hey, that could be me. That could be me. So that's really been the motivation. We said when we started, we don't really know what we're doing, but with prayer and hard work, we're doing it.
Yeah, trust me, we definitely know here exactly about the prayer and hard work. And we sit here and we were talking earlier, our stories kind of go down similar paths. Our ideas are run kind of parallel because they both are based solely in the trucking industry. And not only are they just outside of, we're not just looking at execs and we're not just talking to executives, we're not just talking to brokers or carriers and what have you, but what we are talking to are the drivers themselves, where the true rubber meets the road. And to me, that's what matters. And y'all bringing these to light really makes a difference. I'll ask you, and since you haven't had much experience, what is really the biggest surprise that you've had in interviewing drivers? I mean, honestly, what's the big, not the 6 ferrets in the truck, although that is an interesting story. I think I've even used that one while I was speeding, that I was actually had one pinned under the gas pedal for a minute. So that was the only reason I was speeding. But what is the real shock that has come to light after telling these stories?
I would say the passion of drivers, the professionalism of drivers, the persistence of drivers against all odds. Most people like me have no idea about all the variables that a driver has to deal with every day. They've got customers, they've got loads, they've got regulations, they've got weather, they've got equipment, they've got technology, they have company expectations. The multitasking on a moment by moment basis. My father was an airline pilot, and I came to understand a little bit what they deal with, but drivers have incredible responsibility. And most of the uninformed in our country don't really understand how trucking and logistics is touching every single part of our life every day. So I think just the complexities that drivers deal with every day, and for the most part, the good spirit they deal with it.
And then for the younger generation like myself, who, I've been in the trucking industry for about 10 years, we had a guy on who has been a driver for 56 years. So talking about the change in the industry over time, our old stories don't compare to theirs. So hearing what it was like 56 years ago is really interesting.
Yeah, I was trained by those guys, by the way. I don't even want to tell you how old I am. I've been trained. Those are most of the guys that I grew up with when I first got into the industry. Of course, are gone. They're no longer with us. But they did tell a genuine story. But they had a genuine passion for what they did, and it carried over. And I believe it's still there in the mindset of the drivers out there on how important what they do once they get out there, and once they do. And I truly believe after they see a couple of seasons twice, that to me, that's really when a driver starts to get that experience. You've seen every season 2 times. You could have a mild winter, but you're rarely going to get by twice without getting hit hard. And you're going to have a hot summer, but rarely you're going to get a hot one time. And I'm just saying, after a while, they start to understand the complexities of the road. When you were saying that, it brought to light here, we focus on safety here at BCB Live. I think our mission one statement is imperatively and must always be the safety aspect, because we don't want one more life lost out there on the road by drivers. We want that to be our primary deal. How important is it when you talk to drivers, is safety to them?
Well, I would say real quickly, it comes up, and Jordan can drill deep on this. It comes up in every single discussion that we have, because, we want people to remember there are little children in many cases looking through the window for mom or dad to come home. We never want to lose sight of the human dimension. That's what Life by the Mile delivered by FreightWorks is all about, which, by the way, you can just go to lifebythemile.com and you'll find a whole menu of things that you can do there. But safety is paramount. And Jordan, you'd be able to speak to exactly how we make that commitment flesh out day to day.
Yeah, perhaps I have a unique perspective because my dad is the safety director here. So, yeah, it's kind of an ever-present topic uh, in my life at this point. So I can't even mention anything without hearing about the safety aspect. Uh, yeah, safety is not it's not an afterthought. It's not something that you have to remember to do. It needs to be part of your everyday routine, right? So, not taking shortcuts. Uh, you know, the simple things make a big difference. So just sticking to the process, doing things with the way that is the right way to do it. It's every time that you skip one of those simple steps that you end up in trouble.
And we've had some drivers that have reinforced some themes, and you know what? It's so good. That's a consistent value and theme that comes through in your platform. And by the way, we're grateful for the chance to be here today. So
It's an honor to
thanks
have
for
you.
opening,
Absolutely. Don't know. Go, please. Continue.
opening up that door. But drivers will consistently talk about how important safety is. We had a new driver that just came on board. I won't mention his name, but lives up in Pennsylvania, and he told me, he said, "I want to show you a picture," and he picked up his phone, showed me a picture of a carrier he worked for that will remain unnamed, and he showed me a mechanical issue where a left wheel was lifting up off the ground. It was unsafe. He was in northern Maine, and he said they kept telling me, "You got to keep driving. Got to keep driving." And so that's an extreme example, but we, of course, would never do that. Freightworks has an ethic where people are more important than profits, and we're interested in relationships, not just transactions. And so safety comes up regularly. And, we made a commitment with a new order of Peterbilt trucks that we have on the way that safety is going to be up there at the top. Safety is not an amenity. Safety, if you don't have it, is a non-starter.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You speak to that, and I'll tell you that we truly believe here, and I don't care where you work when it comes to safety. If the carrier you're with is not doing or making sure, and to speak to that, and aren't doing the things that really in your heart know aren't safe, you need to go find another job. And I don't care where you go, but you need to go somewhere else. I mean, and that's how important it is. I mean, I don't want anybody to feel coerced. I don't want anybody to feel like they're being not supported in the back office of whatever. I don't care what company you're with. If you're not feeling like you're being supported in the back office, you've got to make a difference and go somewhere else and find a job that does care, right? About you and about the other people on the road, right? So no, that's fascinating. What are some of the things that y'all are developing when you do this? I know this is kind of, I'll tell you, and as we go down similar paths, this is kind of, as we did it, things change, right? I mean, we started to look at them a little bit different, and we started to do things. What is it you're moving more towards that maybe when you first started it, man, we're really starting to do this more? What are some of the things you're looking forward to?
I can tell you one thing that we're doing differently is I'm not wearing a sport coat anymore.
That's good.
Yeah. And you know what? We're very much in open communication. We take hold of each other here. So I got pulled to the side, and it's like, you know what, Butch, sports coat's got to go.
Yeah, I don't.
No,
it's not a truck driver thing. I'm gonna go out there. That's really not a truck. Sports coat's not really a truck driver thing. You know that, right?
Right. Well, I've learned it, and I've got plenty of people that are going to tell me exactly what I don't know, which I'm grateful for. But you know what? I was going to say this real quickly. As you were talking about safety a minute ago, you've got a little bit of preacher in you.
I have. Oh, well, and I think. So, and I appreciate that. It's not a preacher in me. What it is a passion. It's a passion about safety. It is not. I'm not a preacher about it, and I apologize if I can get on.
Oh, no. I meant that in an affirming way. You're passionate, and you're really making, because some people give lip service to safety.
No,
everybody in the marketplace, it seems like, talks about home time, compensation, quality of your truck, safety. I mean, the words are used so much. Isn't it sometimes the case that drivers just are? Do they really believe it? Can they believe it? Yeah, that's what we find a lot too. Can I trust you?
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, and I agree with you 100%. And as you talk to drivers, I am excited to know because I'm going to be listening more because I want to hear their stories and I want to hear what they have to say. And I'll tell you, I've gotten to a point about safety that I think it's ownership's responsibility as much as it is the driver's responsibility, as much as it's the dispatcher's responsibility, as much as it is the shipper's responsibility, and also the other people that share the road, the four-wheelers out there. I think if we're going to change this industry for the better, we all have to work together in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And we have to make a difference today because we have more people on the road than ever before. And we have, you guys are out there sending out a message. Man, I hope that, you know what, if you want to wear a safety shirt, I'll get you one to wear on your show so that it is a topic of conversation at least once every time you talk to a driver, because their lives matter to me and they
That's
matter.
right.
They should matter, and everybody's lives matter out there. And I appreciate, and that's what your show says to me, is that the drivers matter, right? I think that's where, I think that's what differentiates what you're doing than a regular podcast. You're saying, hey, you matter. And not only what you do in the truck, what you do outside the truck, right? I don't want to know just what you, I want to know about your life. I want to know what you do, what makes it all tick. And that's exciting to me that you're telling that story. What is the, and I don't want to get off on a montage, but what is the most outrageous outside the truck story there? Because I got a lot of, I'm an old truck driver. We got tons of inside the cab story like you wouldn't believe. But what's some of the outrageous that you went, you really do that? I mean, you have any of those?
I'll throw it. It's not outrageous. That I understand what you're saying when you say that. I think one of the things that has been so incredible in some cases is to hear of the selfless acts, compassionate acts of drivers who, in the midst of all their stresses, all the demands on their time, all of the things they have to take hold of and be responsible for, have enough of a sense of, I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper, where they can pull over, they can help, they can encourage. We just did an incredible episode with somebody who's on the board of Truckers Against Trafficking. Human trafficking is a horrendous problem, and more than 800,000 frontline beacons, periscopes up into that problem, and drivers who said, yeah, I'll do my part. I'm going to make sure if I see anything that seems pernicious or nefarious or bad, I'll report to law enforcement. I think one of the things that is so great is to see the compassion on the part of people who could easily turn the other way but say, no, I'm not going to do that. That has really touched my heart.
Wow, that's
great.
great.
On the topic of safety, you know, I think one of the first eye-openers for me when I started hearing from drivers was we don't realize how often they see accidents. You know, there's barely a driver that I've talked to that hasn't seen unfortunately a fatality in most cases on the road. And that just highlights the importance of safety. This isn't like once in 50 years you might see something unsafe. This is like an everyday reality for them, unfortunately. So everything we can do to change that across the industry is worth all our effort.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, I when you talk to drivers, when you look at them and you talk to them, I do want you, but especially since you're new to the industry, man, I want you to visualize. I know what you do, but remember, if you were to lose focus for just a second in what you do, nobody's probably going to get hurt. You might fall asleep, bump your head on the desk, or you might slip and fall off of your chair. But you imagine the amount of hours where you have to stay 100% focused all the time. That to me is the absolute hardest part of being a truck driver out there on the road. It's not anything else. I mean, you know how easy it is to get lulled into that big TV screen in front of you, and then you get but really that's the job of the professional out there, and I really appreciate you and what you do.
Great interview from Drive Safe, Dave, going over Drive. We met these folks at a conference last year, and it's great to see when other trucking companies are kind of diving in, right, into getting into what's going on with our drivers, not just the athletes and this, but driving into, hey, who are these folks behind these wheels?
Yeah, and you know, as I talk to them, they really care. And when I got from the interview from them, they do a great job of just talking, sitting down, and getting not only inside the tractor and the guy inside the tractor, the gal inside the tractor, but who they are outside the tractor.
You know what? And do we have a better story than the ferrets? Is there anybody out there that has a lion, a tiger? I mean, something to
A bear.
top the ferret. Can we just top that? Drive safe, Dave. Lot of weather going on. We're going to jump right back into it. Buckle up, Bob. But first, we have that all-important phrase that pays. Drive safe. Give it to us.
And the great thing is we only do it one more time this week before we have you read it back to us. And here it is. Plan your whole trip to strive to save stress, money, and mostly lives.
All right, and now say it again and make it rhyme, Drive safe.
Plan your whole trip to strive to save stress, money, and mostly lives.
No matter how you say it, it doesn't rhyme. Here on BCB Live, though, we are about saving life. And you know what? We want to make sure you're doing that today, especially this week, as we have, Dave, just some crazy weather, right?
Yeah, it's going to continue through the week, and we'll get right to Bob right away and let us know what we need to do and how we need to react accordingly.
Buckle up, Bob. Coming up next with weather and traffic, only right here on BCB Live. Dave, we are
the safest station in the nation.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. It is Buckle Up Bob, and yes, we've got lots of weather. And folks, I just want to encourage all the drivers out there that, you know, this is probably the hardest weather because it's just not one thing. You've got the ice. You know, I've been talking to some drivers this morning, and, you know, the roads look wet, but their truck has ice on it. Well, if the truck has ice on it, then you can bet the overpasses are icy. So it's just one of those things where, you know what? You just don't know. This overpass may be good, the next one not, the next one good, and so forth. So, again, what we're saying is the conditions are bad enough that we don't need to be driving. You know, last year in Fort Worth, what really happened was, you know, everybody thought the roads were wet, and then they hit a patch of ice, and no one could stop. And that's how you get these pileups. So what we're going to do is we're going to get you started off with a little bit of traffic. And as you can see, DFW area, Dallas has a lot of issues going on. Let's start with the easy one, I guess, then first. And that is the Fort Worth area. You're looking pretty good this morning. Again, up here at the merge, there's a lot of construction going on here as you approach the Alliance Airport. So 81 going north. Right there at this merge and loop, you've got problems in both directions. A little bit of problem on the eastbound as you come into this 820 and 30 merge point. That's always a bottleneck a little bit right there anyway. And then we've got the usual slowdown on the northbound side as you come up into the Fort Worth area. And then right here, man, this is a nightmare. You have about 5 different roadways merging and some of the exits to the downtown Fort Worth area, all right there. So you can see it's got a problem with a backup as well. And as we said, Dallas, the loop, you know, both directions, right? Here is the southbound or westbound. Here's the northbound, right? So mostly on the northbound. Big problems up here in Plano and Richardson as you come down into the city area. And then west of the airport here, also got some problems. I believe that's this is 360. So again, so a lot of issues in the DFW area. Duncanville, you've got problems as well going west. So again, be careful, folks. As we go to Houston, right? We're looking... Sorry, it just kind of threw me off a little bit this morning.
Hey Bob, looks like we had a reset this morning. So okay. When we go to Kansas City, it'll take me a second to get that loaded.
Gotcha.
For you.
No problem. Houston, a lot of issues this morning. You can see the loop has problems on the north side. Downtown area is horrible. You know, I believe these are 69 coming up there through Humble. You know, we got a problem on the southbound 45. Both directions, or no, mainly on the southbound side as well. The tollway, eastbound, both of them. We've got some major issues from Katy all the way into the both loops. As 45 come from the south, not too bad till you get inside the loop. So stay on the loop, and it's really going to be your best bet, because if you go west, it's not a problem. And if you go north, your lane is pretty clear all the way up to the top till you get up here by Fall Creek and the 69 merge point. So again, you got a lot of more options, but the downtown area and 45 looks really bad this morning as you come into the Houston area. So, and as we go to Kansas City next, again, we'll take a peek at that, and you'll see. We go. We'll look at that, and you know, they got some of that weather, and according to the cameras, it looks.
Give me a second. Let me get the weather or the traffic.
Looks pretty bad this morning, and there you go. Right, you can tell there's something going on in Kansas City. See if I can get rid of that, but no, normally green, but look at this. And they got hit hard, folks, with the ice and then now the snow. And I was looking at the cameras. It is all bad. So, again, you can see that. Your best bet, hey, at the very least, you wait till rush hour traffic's gone, right? And people going to work. Because, again, 70, both directions, the loop, all the way around, just a problem. 70, it opens up a little bit as you go west, but just don't risk it. There's nothing worth your life. That freight is not worth it. You can see 49 all the way down to Peculiar, Missouri. You've got an issue there, and 35 coming up. Once you hit Gardner, essentially just south of Olathe, Kansas, you're going to run into some problems both directions, right? So, again, even coming over here, Eudora, DeSoto, all problems as you approach Lenexa, Kansas, and Overland Park. So, again, Kansas, it's nice to know that you are human out there and that we do have bad days, but you've got some bad traffic this morning. As we go into Chicago, yes, they're getting hit with the weather too. And look, you can see Indiana all the way, right? I think Fort Wayne is supposed to be hit hard too. So you can see along the lake, the 80, 90 coming across the border, 80 coming up all the way back up to Morris and Seneca, 55 south of Shanahan and Joliet, right? I mean, Bolingbrook. 88 is backed up all the way to DeKalb, and even further back past Rochelle. Got some problems. 39, right? Problems all the way from Peru up to Rochelle. 90 backed up to Belvedere. And then coming from the north, Waukegan all the way into the city. Just a nightmare in Chicago. Again, you can kind of see where this line of this weather was, right? It stretched right from Chicago area through the Kansas area. So, again, you know, be mindful of that as you go through. As we go to Atlanta, let's see what we got in our Atlanta area this morning. Again, Atlanta is always an issue. Today is no different. The southern part of the loop looks pretty good as you go to Atlanta. 75 coming up looks good. 285, both directions, just really spotty, but not too bad considering. 85 southbound all the way back to Pleasant Hill problem. And then always the 20 eastbound area as you approach the 285 loop becomes a problem as well. So, hey, Atlanta, patience, patience, patience. Folks, that's the same every day. And today, especially throughout the country, because we have some bad weather moving in. It's not in Nashville yet, but Nashville, we've got our problem, you know, all the way back to Smyrna area. So I think that's Walnut Ridge. There we go. Yeah. Walnut Ridge here, 24 and 266 merge point, all the way up to Antioch. 40 westbound problems all the way back out here by the airport, the Nashville airport, and even further back there. And then you can see inside the loop, really a nightmare once you get to that 24 merge all the way to the inner city loop. And then, of course, we always have an issue up here at 2465. Once you get west of Nashville, opens up pretty good for you. So if you're coming from the west, you're going to have a little bit of a problem once you get on the east side of Nashville. But if you're going west, once you get through that, you are. So be patient. And then once you get past 65, things open up pretty good for you. And then we've got our DC area, is it? There we go. So again, DC, you've got problems all the way from Silver Spring, all the way around the eastern side. Both directions down here by Kettering, right? But mainly on the northbound side from Kettering all the way up to Greenbelt as you meet them merge points. And then we've got a lot of issues back here in Centerville on 66. And then right as you approach 495 just north of Annandale, Annandale has a little bit of a problem this morning as well on the DC area. As you can see, the arteries coming down. 295 has an issue at Jessup on the southbound direction. As you get closer to the 495 loop in DC at Greenbelt and South Laurel, you have it mainly in the northbound direction, but also a little bit of a backup on the southbound as well. Odenton, right, 97 has a major problem all the way to near Harold Harbor. And then as we get into the Baltimore area, again, the northern part of the loop is always a problem, but today we have both directions, Pikesville, Lockern, just above the 70 merge point. Got a lot of traffic, both directions. 70 coming in, eastbound is a problem. And then as you see, as you get up to Pikesville, the northbound or eastbound lanes are backed up all the way down to 70. So again, be patient in the DC area. And then as we look in our Philadelphia, yeah, you can see it, a lot of problems on the New Jersey side, which we haven't had for a while. 295, Belmar, right, down by Deptford, 42, all problems this morning. Along the river, the little short section is now backed way up here to just across from Riverside, from the New Jersey side, past Cheltenham. And then we are backed up way past the King of Prussia, up to 422. And then in Swarthmore, we also have a problem all the way to 476. They're both directions. So as you can see, a lot on the east. We got a lot of traffic issues this morning. So make sure you are patient. Yield that right away always, and you should be in good shape. So as we go to our weather, right, you can see these are all alerts, and you can see all the pink, right? Here's Oklahoma City. The purple and the pink is where the ice is coming through, right? And here's some purple here, right, as it's forecasted. These are all alerts and warnings. Albuquerque, it is snowing now. I looked at a couple cameras because there were some drivers heading west. But they're right now they're safe, but they're heading right into some major snow that is predicted there, and probably on the hour they're going to make more counties yellow and red where the roads get worse in the New Albuquerque area this morning. Oklahoma City, as we said, there's ice on the trucks, and the roads may have spots where they're clean and good, but the overpasses will definitely be icy. Not worth moving right now. Maybe at 9 o'clock, the temperatures are not going to rise, but maybe the salt trucks can get out there. When it's 28, 29 degrees, the salt will still melt it. So whatever they treat it with might make that a little bit safer to slow speeds down and get moving south there. But you can see Arkansas later today is supposed to hit the Arkansas area. Let's just get here on one of these 44s, see what it tells us. And so again, this is a government map, the National Weather Service from the government. And so when you hit on these, it will give you an alert, winter storm warning, right? And then you can get the details. And this is going to tell you everything, what they expect, right? We got a mixture of freezing rain, sleet, and snow. Total accumulations of 3 to 6 inches with local amounts up to 8 inches. Heaviest snow along I-44. We talked about that yesterday. That is going to stretch all the way from Tulsa all the way up to St. Louis, folks. They're getting it right now. Snow and sleet accumulation of 2 to 5 south of Interstate 44, as far northwest as Arkansas. Kind of gives you the areas, the timeline, right? As they fall through freezing, the winter weather will spread southward. So as these temperatures fall throughout the day, you can see from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Bentonville, Arkansas. So you're going to have some issues, right? And then the instructions, bridges, roads, overpasses in the warning area are expected to become slick and hazardous, right? And then I always look for if travel is absolutely necessary. So basically they're telling you don't go out. If they say if it's necessary, then it's got to be an emergency, right? So folks, that is this pink. So anywhere you see this pink and light purple, these conditions exist. And you can see it's most of Oklahoma. It will come into West Texas. It's kind of just starting to snow in some areas. So as the temperatures drop, this front is right along the line, and we'll show that in windy.com right now and show you what is happening. There you go. See, right here, this is at 2 p.m., so that's what we were talking about. It's coming. So the warnings are already issued, and you see some rain already along that line that we were just talking about. You can see it coming through Oklahoma. Right here is 44 all the way to St. Louis. So exactly what the government's National Weather Service station said is really what windy.com is actually showing you as a forecast as well. So as we go through the day, what you will see, the temperatures start to fall, and then that ice and the rain gets at the moisture gets a bigger area. You can see 2 p.m. today, Albuquerque gets even socked in more, and even heading west back into Phoenix and Flagstaff area. As we go to this evening, there's that ice. So 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock tonight probably, it's just going to be impassable as these temperatures drop in the DFW area. Right around 8 p.m., we should be near that freezing mark. Let's see what it says. There you go, 36 degrees. So late this evening, the DFW area, as long as that moisture is coming in, we're going to have a problem. So,
hey, Bob, just a couple of things here. One, Michael Jones mentions that it's already snowing in Amarillo.
Yes.
And then two, Brian Winsar said beginning next week, I-35 through KC will be closed for 9 months for a bridge replacement.
Wow. All right. We'll have to get that out to everybody. I-35, big main artery there that we go through. Everybody, we're going to take a quick break. Be right back with some videos and some safety. Hey, good morning. Welcome back. It is Drive Safe Day. It is the safest station in the nation, BCB Live. Oh, man. I tell you, folks, don't operate any heavy equipment with no sleep. Drive safe. It's just hard. Folks, hey, welcome back to the show. We're going to go right into some videos, and then we'll close with some safety topics and some advice for today. So again, you're seeing these as first time with me because doing all the weather, I did not get a chance to kind of look through these. Looks like we got a stale green. Whoa, and we ran it. Folks, cannot do that, right? You've got to approach these intersections. Be slowing down now. We should be slowing down. Whether it's green, yellow, purple, it doesn't matter. Start to slow down so when it changes, you can run. This was, or you can be able to stop, right? Drive safe.
Yeah, we already know this is a stale green light. You basically entered into the intersection yellow and went through the intersection on yellow. Not prepared to stop. Not a good idea.
All right. And this next one, you can see the rain starting to come through there, right? This almost looks like Oklahoma, don't it? But who knows? But again, intersections, yellow,
red.
And we rolled through it. We were slowing. Folks, this is, again, when drivers say, well, it changed on me. Well, that's because you're not preparing to slow down anyway, right? You have to be prepared to stop. Then it doesn't matter what it does. Very few times will you be forced to go ahead and run this if you're slowing down, being prepared to stop.
Yeah, correct? You basically went into the intersection on a red light. Is what you did. And you know what? It's just going to wreak havoc, especially in this weather. We understand how slippery it is. You just got to go a little bit slower, be a little bit more prepared. And here it is, 2 back-to-back intersections that we've gone through that we should have stopped at.
Yes, sir. This next one, obviously you're in Dallas.
That looks like Oklahoma City.
Oh, I thought it said Dallas.
Yeah, that's 40.
Oh, that was just
That's
one,
Oklahoma City turning south.
44 coming off, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
think?
it looks like 40. It looks like the 40 southbound turn on to 35 is what it looks like right there.
Gotcha. Yeah. Vehicle stability alert, right?
Slow down.
Slow down.
Yeah, you're on the
right?
turn.
You can see so far the videos have one big thing in common. Even though they're different scenarios, it's speed, right? Speed management. It's not
Right.
there. Here we're coming into some traffic.
Merge point.
Merge points. You got them coming from both directions. Looks like up top and on the left. Driver slows down. Brake lights. Hey, great job, driver. That's what you're looking for.
Prepared, get an overall view, big picture deal here.
Yes.
Understanding you're not going anywhere, right? You're not nothing's going to happen. You're going to have to slow down. Great job. Actually slowed down well in advance, and then creeps into the situation.
You know, and what I like about this, Dave, and you tell me, because I'm not a truck driver, you have been. What I like about this is, you know, sometimes there's always a debate, what lane is the safest lane to be in? I like this because I've heard you guys all say that, hey, on my left side, I can see everything.
Absolutely.
Right? And so when you're in this left lane and you've got potential merge points from the right and the left, I would like to be over here because I can see all that.
Absolutely.
And I've created a space for anybody else that I can't see.
Yeah, these are two highways coming together, and
Yeah.
you're going to have basically a lot going on here. Whichever you're most comfortable in, whichever the best travel is right here, you're going to merge in. You're already you're basically going to enter into the right lane. I can see the left merge better than I can see the right merge,
Yes.
right? So actually a good position on coming in. Good big picture. I'll tell you what I do like about it. Driver comes into it knowing that everyone's slowing down and approaching very cautiously.
Yes.
Great job.
Awesome. I was wondering if we're going to have any good ones after the first three. What we got here? Nighttime coming up. 3 lanes. Somebody's moving slow. Is that a merge point?
Well,
Oh, yeah, there's the right divided.
There's a lane entering
So
right there.
Oh, that lane's ending.
That lane's ending. And you know what? You need to move over sooner.
Yeah.
Give them a little bit more room. Give them, and instead of blowing, basically we just blew around this guy. This step deck went around this guy pretty quickly. Basically, we want to make sure that if you see this, a merge point coming in, do yourself a favor and them a favor. Move over, give them plenty of room to come in. Obviously, pulling a pretty heavy load and entering the lane slowly. You got to give them the space they need.
Absolutely. Obviously, as slow as they're going, they were probably distressed there a little bit maybe or something. All right, we went from good spacing. And now we're tailgating, folks. Right? Count. 1001, 1000, right? Boom. And that's what's going to happen, folks. Nobody wants to sit behind a truck. You're coming up on that right here. You've got to know that car probably is going to jump out as soon as traffic clears. I mean, we see it all the time, right? I do it.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there waiting. I'm like,
Well,
okay, I'm not getting behind another truck.
Not only do we know it, the car's signaling.
Yes.
The car's signaling. So do it again. This car is already right at.
I missed that.
Keep going. Now
There
we're
it is.
signaling. You know he's coming over.
Yeah.
Back
Anticipation,
off.
folks.
Yeah, back off. You're not going to push this guy back over. You're not going to do that. I mean, and you know what? Now you're entering into the wolf pack, tightened up.
Yep.
Slow down, back off. Give yourself some time. Give yourself some space. You're not that big a hurry. Give yourself some room. You're way too close.
Correct.
Look, every one of these cars are way too close.
That's right. And I want to review a little bit real quick because we mentioned it, but it's periodically. When you're getting this big picture, it is not just the 2 lanes in front of you, right? Your big picture and your escape out, they say the big picture goes to that tree line to the right, all the way across traffic to the left, because that's where all the dangers can come from. And you can see you've got a Jersey wall, right? You're not going anywhere left here, so there is no out left. And right looks pretty dangerous with some drop off, a lot of trees, not a good, and then obviously you've got nowhere to go in front. So there's no out. You went here from having a decent out, which is stop and stay in your lane,
Absolutely.
to where you've got nothing.
Yeah, you're not controlling the space in front of you
No.
right here. It's very important as we work together and with the traffic out there. Give them that look. They're going to cut you off. They're going to jump over. They're going to take your space. Give it back. They take it, give it back. They take it, give it back. understand you got to keep continuing. You know they're coming over. You
Yes.
got to back off.
Absolutely correct. Thank you, Dave. That was the last one, the producer. All right. Hey, folks, we're going to talk a little bit about, we've been talking about turns. We went right turns, probably the hardest to do, drive safe, as you said, because it's tight, it's right. You kind of almost got to get in both lanes. The left-hand turn is usually a little easier because you got a little bit more wider, but when accidents happen on left-hand turns, they're the most dangerous because, you've got the T-bone situation, which somebody could end up losing their lives. So usually you don't see too many fatality accidents in relation to right-hand turns, even though they're harder. But the left-hand turns have more life-protecting implications. And so the third one we want to ask or talk about is U-turns, right? There you go. Drive Safe Day wore it in honor of the day. And, most carriers, right? Most companies prohibit making them. We are one of those. We never, ever advise you to make a U-turn. Go down, find a while, get some help if you have to. If you're at a customer's lot and a car's got you blocked, get some help to get the cars moved, somebody to guide you back to where you can safely get around and maneuver. Never make a U-turn. And most of the accidents happen in the U-turns because drivers don't understand all the mechanics that are involved in it and what the trailer does, how long, their sense of timing, right? And we're going to kind of address that, right? It typically takes 15 to 30 seconds for a 18-wheeler to execute a U-turn, which means you're going to be, if it's on a highway, you're going to be blocking both lanes for about 12 seconds.
Don't ever
make
do a U-turn in a trafficked road.
Yes.
Don't ever do it in a trafficked road. Don't ever do a U-turn in a trafficked road. There are times when I always recommend 2 left turns. All right, 2 left turns is going to get you going back the direction you came.
Yep.
Make sure you understand that's what you want to do. You want to do 2 left turns. At worst case scenario, there is always available to you the 3-point turn, the area in which you back up into a spot and then you move forward. That is a 3-point turn, and that does also give you the U-turn option. Spinning it or flipping it in a parking lot, you got to be genuinely careful. You got to make sure you understand the swing of the trailer and you understand where you're at in the position that you're going in. Whenever you execute this maneuver, and I recommend that you don't do this maneuver, I recommend that you widen out your stance, always create a 2 left turn scenario and or a 3-point turn. And you will always typically, by getting out and looking, if you're going to back up, you'll give yourself that much needed idea of your space environment and the execution of the turn. I don't ever do a U-turn on a roadway or a highway. I have heard there is never a good ending in those scenarios in a crash when you have turned yourself sideways on a vehicle going at a high rate of speed. It never ends good.
No.
And I'll tell you, some of the worst crashes I've ever heard is a guy doing a U-turn on a highway in a remote area thinking nobody's out there, and somebody's flying doing 70 and comes across your vehicle. So these U-turns, be mindful, understand, go down, turn left, and guess what? When you turn left and turn left,
you're NASCAR.
You're coming back. Well, you're coming back the way you
I know
came.
what you mean.
So you get U-turn. So understand the dangers of the U-turn and make sure whenever you do it. So you always 2 lefts or a 3-point turn action. It makes it a lot easier.
You bring up a great point. And they say almost any accident that happens involving a U-turn on a roadway ends in a fatality. It always will. So, the other thing I wanted to, with the weather, just remind everybody, hey, yes, the roadways are dangerous, but when you're getting in and out of the trucks, you've got to slow that exit and entering the truck, slow it down. Really make sure you have 3 points of contact. Make sure that you are protecting yourself getting in and out of the vehicles during this weather. Ice builds up, the moisture builds up, you go to the temperature, it starts to freeze. You've got to make sure of your footing, not only on your truck steps, but on the ground you're about to step on when you're walking around your equipment, inspecting it. Survey your ground. Make sure you know what you're walking on. Slow down your gait. Whatever you got to do, slow it down and make sure of 3 good points of contact so you don't get injured today as well.
All right, everybody, and make sure that you understand that during the day and throughout the day, we also will be giving updated information as needed for weather and area of concerns that the weather has. Bob will be on the front line all day, scouring the maps, ensuring that you get the information necessary at the time and in the needed time to make great decisions out there on the road. Be careful, be mindful, and we want those carriers. Bob, you want to close it with a quick prayer?
Yes, sir. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we ask you today of all days, and every day, of course, but today, help all the drivers out there make good decisions, life-protecting decisions, Lord. They don't need to haul the freight in dangerous conditions. The ice is dangerous. Please protect them, keep them safe, and bring them all home to their families. Lord, it is in your Son's name we pray these things. Amen.
All right, everybody, and remember, we'll be back to you this afternoon or in a much-needed timely alert on the weather out there to forecast what you may need. We will see y'all later.